Nation, presented, well, no, we're not presented by anybody other than Wing Nation, and we are so glad you joined us talking sprint car racing, our favorite time of the week. So much fun, so much fun. Well, there's not a lot of fun going on in the sprint car world, is there? We're getting rained out all the time. We're glad you joined us anyhow. Steve Post in the Wing Nation studios here in Concord, North Carolina. I start this show with a question. Have you ever had one of those days? You know, one of those days where this didn't work out and that didn't work out, and when you zigged, the world zagged? Well, our new young producer, Hank, has had one of those days, and it started with co-hosts. Some are sick, some are in Florida, some are here. Backup co-hosts can't do it, backup co-hosts, and we have guests that are in and out and everything. Here's the beauty of it. We're still talking sprint car racing. It's noon Tuesday if you're watching us live. Of course, if you're listening to this later on, we're still talking sprint car racing, and that's the fun part about it. And we have a great show. We are going to have a great time. Mark Smith is going to be our guest here on the program. Again, we've been juggling and moving around, and I think that that's the nature of this time of year, particularly with a lot of juggling and moving around that's going on in the sprint car world. And so crazy times, but it's all good. And again, we are glad you joined us here on Winged Nation. Let's kick things off, as we always do, with the Hefner Racing Products Hot Topics. A look at what is going on in the Hot Topics, well, rain and cold. We talked last week about the All-Stars kicking it off at Bubba Pollard's Sonoma Raceway down in Georgia. That didn't happen. We kind of knew last week that the forecast was not looking good, and sure enough, it wiped them out. Now, what we did not know was that was going to continue on, and the latest from down in Florida. Again, we're live Tuesday at noon. Tonight at Volusia has been washed out. So the All-Stars, fingers crossed, are hoping to kick off their season tomorrow night, Wednesday night at Volusia. Now, one of the underlying stories that we've kind of joked about over the course of the last few years is how that rascal, Pete Walton, with USCS, just locks down in the state of Florida in the spring when everyone's getting rained out in California and getting rained out in Pennsylvania and getting rained out everywhere else, and how Pete Walton with USCS just keeps knocking it out. And yeah, he did it again this past week, and Henry County Raceway is where USCS was at. And Davey Franick, don't panic, no need to panic, Davey Franick picked up the win and on Friday night, and then Mark Smith was the winner on Saturday night. So we're going to talk to Mark. So Pete Walton has just got this great little USCS program in place down in the state of Florida during this time of the year when everyone else is dealing with rain, and he gets the bulk of his races in, and for a lot of racers, it's really a good place to go. They'll run again this coming weekend. I think it's Needmore Raceway. Then they sit quiet while the 360 Winter Nationals takes place at East Bay, and then Pete just continues on with his Winter Heat Series. And I know there's a lot of drivers that are really looking at this, and they have done a nice job with it, including Mark Smith. We'll talk to him about that and so much more that has happened as far as the sprint car world goes. So not a lot as far as racing goes in our Hefner product Hot Topics, but there's other things happening. Last week on our program, we had a wonderful visit with Parker Price Miller. And we just talked about his cancer treatment that he's dealing with, and his hopes and desires and dreams of when he gets in the race car. And we found out since that time that Kerry Madsen, the super sub, will be in the Mike McGee car until, well, during Florida. Because Kerry, I don't even know. I wonder how many cars Kerry will have driven over the last 2 years. Because he's going to start the season in Florida driving for Mike McGee, but Kerry has a ride with Roth Motorsports, so that when the World of Outlaws get out west, Kerry will be picking up that ride. So super sub Kerry Madsen, the madman, to the rescue, and he will drive the Mike McGee number 11 car. I believe the plan is Volusia. And then Parker last week said that he might be able to run one of the nights at East Bay in between his treatment regimen. So who better to have than Kerry Madsen? I mean, look what he did in that 14 car last year for Tony Stewart Racing. My gosh, he was wheeling that thing. So you know if you're Mike McGee Motorsports, you got a man that can park it on the front stretch, and we're just going to see what happens when the madman climbs aboard that 11 car. Again, can't wait, though, for Parker Price Miller to get back and get healthy and get strong and get back behind the wheel where he belongs of that Mike McGee Racing number 11 car. So that's the story there. And, well, one of the other stories that we kind of have over the course of time is our buddy Brian Brown and sponsors. You know, Brownie with Casey's General Store, Brownie with FVP, great sponsor that he's had. He's added another one, and it is one that I can two thumbs up, endorse. Andy's Frozen Custard. Yes, Brian Brown has now got Andy's Frozen Custard on his sprint car, and I think that's great. Actually, last year met the Andy's folks down at Texas. They did a deal with Richard Childress Racing, where A.J. Allmendinger, I think it was, drove one of their cars. And was it A.J.? Yeah, I think it was A.J. It was really cool meeting the folks. They're a very family-oriented company that really is into racing. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think the patriarch of the family, who is no longer with us, I think he was a pretty big race fan. And so Brian Brown has tapped into that passion, and there will be some Andy's Frozen Custard signage on Brian's car. There will be Brian's cars, a show car, out at some locations, some Andy's Frozen Custard locations, and who knows what else. Of course, I'm saying all these nice things and hope that Brian will send us a sample pack. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But congratulations to our buddy Brian Brown on the new sponsorship deal with Andy's Frozen Custards. We know that dollars drive these teams, and good to see Brownie keeping his team shored up. And I believe he's headed to Florida, and we will see that car on track when they get on track down in Florida. And there you have it, your Hepner Racing product hot topics. HRP Wings, the original reset rivet wing manufacturer. They used wind tunnel and track performance testing to outpace the industry in design, innovation, and functionality. Not only for sprint cars, lightning sprints, micro sprints, junior sprints, whatever you have that needs a wing, they can help you out with HRP Wings, and they're shipped across the world and can be economically ground shipped right to your door. www.hrpracing.com. That's hrpracing.com. We need to step away. We'll go to the Sage Fruit Hotline where Mark Smith joins us next. Sage Fruit is a premium grower, packer, and shipper of Washington tree fruit. Apples, pears, and cherries, and it's always an exceptional eating experience, and they're grown in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. Not only is their produce healthy, but they are grown with such care and precision that you can count on each piece of fruit having exceptional flavor. High-quality fruit, exceptional flavor, healthy snacking. Make sure when you go to your local grocery store, ask for Sage Fruit. Sage Fruit, it's our first choice for quick and easy snacking.
Circle B Diecast is the new diecast outlet from Plan B Sales. What started as Lionel and Chase Authentics apparel distributor has grown into the largest distributor of diecast and now includes Auto World Greenlight Collectibles, Brand Art, Sam Bass Artwork, and University of Racing lines. They have a huge inventory. The folks at Circle B Diecast love racing and support drivers like Kyle Larson, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Christopher Bell, and many others with sponsorships and partnerships. And on orders over $20, use promo code MRN for free shipping. Check them out, circlebdiecast.com.
Don here from Concord, North Carolina. The Sage Fruit Hotline is where we're going, and joining us fresh off from a trip to Victory Lane down at Hendry County is Mark Smith. Hello, Mark. Welcome back to Wing Nation.
Hey, Steve. How you doing?
I am doing well. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. Was hoping to be sucking up some nice warm sunshine down here in Florida, but so far it's not been that great.
No, that's what I'm seeing from everybody down there, and just doesn't seem like Mother Nature's cooperating down there. Although I say that, and I know the All-Stars got washed out, and everyone got washed out tonight at Volusia. You did get a couple of races in. Might not have been bright, sunny Florida, but it had to be good to get back behind the wheel of a sprint car and knock the rust off a couple of nights.
Yeah, it sure was. I mean, actually, down in Hendry, we had some pretty nice weather down there, so I got to enjoy a little bit. But then the farther north we got, the worse it got. So, but I'll still take it. It's better than snow and ice.
Well, and that's probably in your homeland of Sunbury, Pennsylvania, is probably what we have going on up there. It's really nothing. It's no prize here in the Carolinas. So I think the whole East Coast is dealing with it. So,
Yeah, I think so.
crazy stuff, that's for sure. So, let me see. Friday night, looks like you had an awful fast race car, but you had a flat tire and you had to go to the back a couple of times. Saturday night, you were able to capitalize on it and get in the win. Tell us about what you have going down there and how good that race car is.
Well, so far so good. I mean, there was a couple of self-inflicted problems that I created for Friday night. I didn't get my bleeder pushed in all the way, and it flew out, and before the green flag ever dropped, and the left rear tire went flat, so we had to go to the rear, and then just being frustrated, I went to the back, and we came back to sixth or seventh range within about half of the laps, and then felt like I had a pretty good shot to win, and then I clipped the uke tire and spun myself out again, and had to go to the rear, and then we ended up coming back to eighth. So, I can take the blame for all of that. That was all my fault. So, but I redeemed myself on Saturday.
Mark, you're a veteran race car driver, and it strikes me, and I think that's the passion as race car drivers. You know better than all the mistakes you made. Make sure the bleeders are in and don't hit uke tires. You know better. But that's got to be the energy that drives you as a race car driver.
Yeah, it is. You just want to win every race, and when you do stupid stuff, you just get more frustrated, and sometimes you just got to take a step back and say, okay, well, settle down, but we didn't tear nothing up on the car or anything like that. So, I want to thank JD and Terry Witherspoon for giving us the opportunity, because, I'm driving their car down here in Florida for this whole Florida trip. I actually brought a 410 of my own to put in the car to run 2 All-Star shows at East Bay in their car. So I just want to thank them guys, and they build their own engines. So they're pretty much all self-sufficient here. And I just want to give them a major thumbs up for giving us a pretty good piece to go racing with.
Yeah. How did how does a deal like that come together? Because we know you've hauled your M1 car down there before. Was it just talking to them and spitballing what the opportunities might be?
Yeah, when we were at Milton towards the end of the last year, they asked if I would drive for them, and I said absolutely, because basically with the fuel prices and the tire prices going up, and basically it takes all my sponsorship money just to do the Florida trip. So if I can get away without spending all that money to come down here and race, that way I can have money to race with for, to start the year at home. So it was a no-brainer for me.
They've been racing. I know in catching Pete Walton's tour for years and years. They're quite a group of racers there, the Witherspoons are.
Oh yeah. They usually bring 2 cars to the track all the time. His son runs, and once in a while they'll have somebody else when his son's not racing, and they got a big old rig that they jam two race cars and a mule in it, and it's a perfect fit. They put the 2 cars in the back, and then they drive the mule up through the side door. So it's quite the thing to see all packed up.
Sprint car hauler Jenga. That's what it is. As they put it all together. Mark, we've spent a lot of time talking about Friday night. When you have a night like that, did you take a moment Friday night, Saturday morning to give yourself a pep talk, or tell yourself, how do you manage that to be able to come back and do what you're supposed to do on Saturday night?
When I wake up in the morning, I get my breakfast. It's a new day. That's how I. Yeah. I don't. You can't dwell on what happened the day before and drag it over into the next night, because it's you'll just frustrate yourself. And I've learned that a long time ago. That's why we call it racing. It's tough. It's hard. It's not easy, and you just got to leave the bad nights behind you, and move on to the next one and just think about winning that night, the next night.
That's a good lesson, that's for sure, and you were able to do that on Saturday night. You mentioned this as well, and I was going to ask you about it. I think you've kind of clarified that because I did see the 2 all-star races at East Bay. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to take your 410 engine, drop it into their car for those 2 nights, and then back to 360 for the 360 Nationals over at East Bay. Is that the plan?
Yep, that's the plan. That is the plan, is weather permitting.
Yeah.
It's so far I think it looks okay, but you're in Florida, that can change in 5 minutes. So
what's there about
East? Yeah, that's the plan.
What's there about Eastway? There are guys like you. I've had the same conversation with Terry McCarl. Jason Size loves to go over there and race. What is there about East Bay that guys like you love racing every time 410 and 360 when you roll into that joint?
I don't know. I think it's just a racy track all the way around, and it's not easy to get around. And if you get it figured out, it kind of makes it more fun because it's like when you're on, and when the guys aren't so good, they're way off. So it makes you look like a hero when you're down there. And I've been down there every year with the same setup, and it hasn't failed me yet. I think it's a unique racetrack because of the tides and, how the track works with that. It'll start to blow off a little bit, and then it'll get wet again. But it's a real wide, racy racetrack. It's just, I wish we had more of those.
Yeah.
And then now we're going to lose it in a couple of years here. So that kind of sucks.
Yeah, no doubt, because it is apparently down to its final couple of years. If you believe all that's being told, and even talking to the people that run the place, that seems like that's the game plan. I want to talk about this, and I've covered this before. I've talked about this when it comes to Ocean Speedway in California, and when it comes to East Bay. Do you look at the tide charts? Do you look at things like that when you're getting ready to go race there?
I do. I keep an eye on them. I'm not necessarily saying that's the trick or anything, but
right.
You got to keep an eye on it, and you have to keep an eye on your humidity and stuff, of how it changes and how much dew point you get during the night, and it changes the track a lot.
Yeah, and
it can sometimes no, sometimes yes.
Yeah. For those that might be new or might not be listening, Ocean in California and East Bay are right at sea level, and they're real close to East Bay is close to the Gulf of Mexico, and so it's fascinating to me, those 2 racetracks, and listening to it. Ocean, the fog will roll in sometimes, and that's the dew that you talk about.
Right.
Yep. Got to be a meteorologist as long as a race car driver.
Yeah. One of these days I'd like to get out to the West Coast and run some stuff, but I'd pretty much have to drive for somebody out there. That's a pretty good hike for me to take my equipment out that way.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to get to Florida, but maybe someday somebody will give me a ride to race out there.
Boy, that would be awesome. That really would. Those cowboy up little bull rings, I think you'd have some fun out there for sure. Mark, in general terms, do you kind of have a blueprint for what 2022 looks like?
Yeah, we have a schedule that we've put up on our website. Basically, we're going to do all the Florida stuff here, and then weather permitting at home. I'm kind of a fair weather racer when it comes to cold weather, I'll start racing more 410 stuff at home locally, just because of the cost of fuel and stuff to travel right now. It's just it's a killer. It's doubled in price from when, like not just this past season it was going up, but the year before it was half the cost. And now the tires have gone up, and so I think I'll be able to race a little bit more if I stay close to home, and I'll be racing for better purses at home too. So because of the 410 stuff, the purses are going up. But now I think the 410 purses are going to have to go back up again because, they just put the cost of racing up again this year with the tires expenses and the fuel expense. So it's like, a lot of times the racetracks don't keep up with our expense. They keep adding expense on us and don't up their expense. But hopefully we can be able to race around home more this year with some 410 stuff, and we'll be doing some non-wing 360 stuff. We'll probably run the USAC stuff when they come into Pennsylvania. I'll run my Silver Crown car some. We'll have a pretty full schedule.
That's what I love about your schedule is you never quite know where you're going to see you show up and race at. How's your 410 program? I know that times you talked about, you have an engine, or how well stocked are you to run some more 410 racing up in Pennsylvania this year?
Well, I have 2 engines now. They're older. We're kind of picking at them and trying to make them the best we can. But they should run fine. We ran the one towards the end of last year, and it seemed to work pretty good. And we actually brought that down. I mean, they're 20-year-old motors, but we can make them work. But we'll just see. But I have 2 for now, and then I'm supposed to have a fella helping me out here later. When we get home, we got to sit down and talk and go through some schedules. And he has some engines that he'll probably, we're going to get with him, and we'll be able to use those this year too. So that would give us at least 4 engines to run this season. So
nice.
If everything works out okay.
Is there a track or an event or something up there in Pennsylvania that kind of stands out as the one you want to get your arms around the most?
No, well, we'll probably race at Lincoln more than anything, just because I'm trying to stay away from Williams Grove and Port Royal, because they're all engine and tire killers there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try and stay away from those racetracks. You might see me there once in a while if I'm just trying to do some, trying some stuff. But as a budget, that I'm going to be on, I can't afford to go to those racetracks. I got a lot of smaller racetracks on, Western PA, some, around home, and some Ohio stuff. But yeah, I think we had I think we have about 80 shows on our schedule, and there's not too many at the bigger tracks at all.
Well, yeah, 20-year-old engines and old, that's Port and Williams Grove are spectacular, but you better go with the engine budget when you go to those places. There's no denying it.
Yeah, and I don't have the engines to go there, so I stay away from it.
Yeah.
But they need to cut them in half. That way it'll make it a little more affordable for everybody.
Yeah, no doubt. I know. I talked to, it's funny, a couple of years ago, I talked to Richie Tobias about that. And Richie, of course, is one of the really neat guys up in that area. And I was talking to him, and he was advocating the same thing, but I don't know. I don't know.
Well, those guys there, they have the right idea. They went and they got that little action track at right there in Kutztown. And we got to run there. Actually, we won their 410 race there. They took and chopped Bridgeport in half. Now that's a real nice racy joint. So I'd like to see some of these other bigger tracks start doing that, just because of the money. It's just these bigger tracks are kind of going to the wayside just because it's so expensive to race at. And I see a lot of tracks across the country that used to be big tracks, now they're small tracks, just because they couldn't get nobody to race there. And so now they made them small. Now they're back in good shape again. So and I've been to a lot of them, so I see it with my own eyes.
Did you ever run the big track at Bridgeport?
Yes, I have.
My God. Yep. I mean, you want to talk about... Wow, that's a track that'll twist the gears out of an engine.
Oh, yeah, that place was huge. Yeah, it was probably the biggest track that we've raced on, as far as with the wing on.
Yeah, I went and I saw they had the 358 modifieds at one time, and I literally sitting there and I was cringing listening to the cars come down the front stretch, how hard they had to twist them there.
Yeah.
And so, and I was doing indoor racing, and I talked to the guy that runs the place, and he was sharing, this was before they did the small bull ring that they have there now, and he was sharing it with me. And the dream he had, one of those things where a guy has a dream and a vision, it appears to me the reality might be better than the dream, because that place is awesome now.
Yes, yeah.
Gosh,
yeah, they're doing a good job.
That's cool. That's good to see. Good to see for sure. Hey, I want to go a little off track with you. We have some mutual friends and some business partners and business dealings. With Shelby Park is an agency that represents you. Shelby Park also represents Ty Majeski, Alex Bright, Ryan Ellis, Sage Karam, and some other drivers. Do you get a chance to mix and mingle and chat with any of your fellow Shelby Park racers?
Oh yeah. We get on group text and we'll chat back and forth once in a while, doing it that way. I haven't met with Sage yet, but I've met with the other drivers. But I'm looking forward to actually meeting with Sage because I think he's got a pretty bright future. And with a young guy coming up, I don't know if I could give him any advice, but I sure would like to try.
Yeah. One of my favorites.
Go ahead.
No, I mean, one of my favorites in that group, Ty Majeski. I watched him win the Snowball Derby. Man, that is a hardcore racer right there.
Yeah, he's kind of like me. He'll show up at any late model track and just go out and kick their butts and take their money and move on to the next one.
Yep, no doubt. Neat stuff, that's for sure. One of the other things that has brought is some pretty good partnerships to you. CRC, saw Rich Marr, saw NGK on it. You work. I watch you work that side of the business pretty hard as well.
Yeah, I try to. I do the best that I can do. I'm getting new to the social media stuff. I was not at all involved with social media until I got with Shelby Park and CRC, NGK, and Rich Marr and those guys, But that's where our spark's gone. We need to, as drivers, if you want to continue to have these people support you, you got to be able to support them and get their name out there, even when you're not on the track, So during the winter, I try to. I'm getting better at it. I'm not good at it, but I'm getting better at it. And we get their name out there and their product and stuff out as much as we can. Because once the racing stops, it's kind of you're kind of out of sight, out of mind, and it's hard to you get busy doing other things, and then you try and because you got to still make a living in the winter, not racing, so we got to figure out other ways to make money. And then you kind of forget about it. It's not as on your mind, so I just got to get a little better at that. And usually, mostly when I'm racing, it's easier for me to remember to tag stuff. Like I'll see something and I'll take a picture and then I'll post it and stuff like that. But that's a big part of our sport now. And I'm kind of the old school racer, so I got to get it. I got to get a little of the new school stuff in me right now.
Well, now, okay, I'm going back during the off season, but I saw you checked off 2 pretty good boxes because on your anniversary, okay, you were able to tie Rich Marr Flores back in to take care of your wife, and you did social media as well. I would say you checked off a couple of boxes on that day.
Yeah. I think I get a little credit for that. I know I should do more in the winter, which I haven't, but I'm like I said, I'm working at it. It's all new to me, but we're working at it.
All right. Next Monday is Valentine's Day, Mark.
Yes,
there you go.
My wife has already told me she would much rather have the money than flowers, so she can go shopping. Yeah, so I was like, okay, all right. Well, we'll give you the money instead of the flowers. So
you better go down there to Needmore and win a couple races this weekend then.
yeah, you got that right.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. I want to end it. I started at the top of the show. We do our Hefner Racing product Hot Topics, and what Pete Walton with this winter tour has been able to do. Racetracks all across North America spend February and March getting rained out, and you've been one that's joined that party down there. He has found a little niche down there in Florida that just seems to give you guys a really good chance to race a lot in the early season. Yeah,
it does. Between his races in East Bay, right. I'm going to be able to run, I think, 11 races here until we get to Milton, Florida. And then depending on how things go between now and Milton, I may be driving the 43 for the other 6 races that are in Mississippi, and I think they're North Alabama, and there's 6 more races after Milton.
Yeah.
Hopefully these guys will continue on. If not, I might go home and grab my stuff. I'm not completely ready, but I could probably be up and running in a couple of days. But just because of the fact that it's going to be so cold at home, probably. But I mean, it might not be. If it looks like the weather's going to be nice at home, I might just stay at home. But I'd much rather go south and be sweating than freezing.
Warm weather racer, that's for sure. That's cool.
Yeah. Yep, that's for sure.
Well, Mark, we follow along your journey a lot. A couple of years ago, we were watching the wind telly just climb through the roof, and looks like you're off to a good start. So congratulations on getting that first win, and we wish you the best throughout this next couple of weeks, and then on throughout the season. I'm fairly confident we'll talk to you along the way, but we wish you the best.
All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate you having us on. Hopefully, get to talk to you next week.
There we go. See that? There you have it. All right. Mark Smith.
That's right.
That's right. Good talking to you, Mark. Mark Smith, one of the absolute great racers. When you look at definition, there's the word racer. And sometimes it's a driver. Sometimes it's a fabricator, a mechanic. Sometimes it's this, that. It doesn't matter how you slice it. Mark Smith is just a racer. I love listening to him. I may just go home and load my stuff up and go racing on my own. He found a way with the Witherspoons to race down here in Florida. A couple of years ago, we had talked with him, and again, it was one of those years. Well, I think it was the COVID year, 2020, and Pennsylvania was a state that was really locked down, and he just holed up at Dale Howard's place down in Mississippi, and Mark Smith was the only Pennsylvania racing for like 4 weeks or 6 weeks. And he was racing all the time. So he's a racer, and he's here to race. And I love getting the chance to talk to Mark Smith. Appreciate him joining us on the Sage Fruit Hotline. Hey, we need to step away. When we come back, we're going to talk about another racer on our Sprint Car Hall of Fame birthday calendar.
Just like racing components, Aggressive Hydraulics purpose-builds hydraulic cylinders to perform for customer-specific applications. They design and manufacture mobile-style, single-stage cylinders as well as multi-stage telescopic cylinders. It's a no one-size-fits-all approach with Aggressive Hydraulics. Hydraulic solutions for virtually every industry that uses hydraulic cylinders. They proudly design and manufacture all cylinders in the United States. Check out the video of their story at aggressivehydraulics.com.
Sage Fruit is a premium grower, packer, and shipper of Washington tree fruit. Apples, pears, and cherries, and it's always an exceptional eating experience, and they're grown in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. Not only is their produce healthy, but they are grown with such care and precision that you can count on each piece of fruit having exceptional flavor. High-quality fruit, exceptional flavor, healthy snacking. Make sure when you go to your local grocery store, ask for Sage Fruit. Sage Fruit, it's our first choice for quick and easy snacking. The National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum, one Sprint Car Place in Knoxville, Iowa, one of the greatest spots on earth. I actually saw somebody, Kenny Jacobs. Kenny Jacobs on his social media yesterday was at the Sprint Car Hall of Fame. And not a better spot on the planet, and we always like to talk about some of the greats enshrined there. When we look at birthdays this week, coming up later this week, Alex Morales and the legendary Jan Opperman. I actually, that's my next reading book is the Jan Opperman story. I bought the book actually at the Sprint Car Hall of Fame on their website, Sprint Car Stuff, and I can't wait to dig into the Jan Opperman book. His birthday would have been tomorrow. Friday, Fred Offenhauser. Saturday, Dick Toby Tobias. Mentioned Richie Tobias in the interview with Mark Smith. Dick Toby Tobias, one of the icons in the Northeast, whether it was sprint car racing or modified racing. And Toby Tobias' birthday would have been Saturday. Steve Smith, birthday coming up on Sunday. Today, Gene Lynch's birthday, and today is also the birthday of Jimmy Oskey, a 2000 inductee into the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame. Jimmy's father, AJ, was a noted team owner out on the West Coast. Jimmy started off running jalopies, and at 1963, he got the first ride with his dad and had some success out there, but as is so many times the case when we talk about racing back in the day, military service called. And it wasn't a lot of times when we go way back. It's maybe World War II or even World War I with some of our guests. This was just general military service. Jimmy took 2 years out and did a stint in the Navy. He returned to racing in 1968, and when he did, they had to batten down the hatches out there. 1968 was his rookie year. He had 3 wins at Ascot and at Whiteman Stadium, also in California. And then CRA championships, 1969, 1974, 1976, 1977, and 1979. You stack up those numbers, and you are going to be enshrined in the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame in Knoxville, Iowa, and Jimmy Oskey, a 2000 inductee into the Hall of Fame. The Sprint Car Hall of Fame has a raffle going on as a Triple X chassis with a Moyle Racing Engines 410 race car. This is their 14th annual raffle car, with proceeds, of course, going to the Sprint Car Hall of Fame. $20 per ticket or $6 for $100. The biannual drawing means that this coming December is when they have the drawing. You can go to sprintcarhof.com. That's www.sprintcarhof.com. When I come back, I want to talk a little bit about some California stuff from this past weekend and tip my cap to some folks who are really doing a great job. Circle B Diecast is the new diecast outlet from Plan B Sales. What started as a Lionel and Chase Authentics apparel distributor has grown into the largest distributor of diecast and now includes Auto World, Greenlight Collectibles, Brand Art, Sam Bass Artwork, and University of Racing lines. They have a huge inventory. The folks at Circle B Diecast love racing, and they support drivers like Kyle Larson, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Christopher Bell, and many others with sponsorships and partnerships. On orders of $20 or more, use promo code MRN for free shipping. You can check them out at www.circlebdiecast.com.
Aggressive Hydraulics provides solutions for virtually every industry that uses hydraulic cylinders. For instance, agriculture, construction, defense, emergency services, energy, food processing, forestry, marine, mining, railway, and even truck equipment. They design and manufacture mobile-style single-stage cylinders as well as multi-stage telescopic cylinders. It's a no one-size-fits-all approach with Aggressive Hydraulics. Check out their story at aggressivehydraulics.com.
Wing Nation continuing on. We're in Concord, North Carolina, having a great time talking sprint car racing. Did any of you watch that NASCAR race on Sunday? I know we live in a world where some people live in the world where it's either sprint cars or NASCAR, and nary shall the two worlds meet. I'm not in that camp. Of course, Wing Nation, we are a division, a part of MRN, so we were out there covering the race, so we love it all. We love NASCAR, we love IndyCar, we love sprint cars, we love midgets, we love late models, and we love it all around here, okay? It was a fascinating weekend out at the LA Coliseum. I subscribe to the theory that when one form of racing does well, all forms of racing benefit from it. And if that theory is in case true, everybody won on Sunday afternoon. The Coliseum race was spectacular. NASCAR stock cars inside that little bull ring on the quarter-mile racetrack, the crowd, the music. Oh, Ice Cube tore it up during intermission, and I'm curious as to what sprint car operators, track operators, and promoters saw when they saw that. I'm curious if between last chance qualifiers and A mains, we might get a DJ and do some spinning some tunes, doing some things. I know you old traditional sprint car fans know you're not into that, but the new world, the young world, I'm just going to tell you, at the LA Coliseum, there was a lot of kids having a really good time during intermission when Ice Cube was mixing it up out there. So fascinating stuff. It'd be interesting to see if any of that transfers over to the sprint car world. The energy, the vibe, the excitement of racing certainly will transfer over, and hopefully, fingers crossed, sprint car world gets kicked up with racing this weekend. I want to take a chance to do this, and this is something that I've wanted to do, and I never think about it or never do anything. Those of you watching video, I have a little prop, but those of you not watching video, it's not that big. But I'm holding up Area Auto Racing News. Okay, racing trade papers. Racing trade papers are, in a large part, a thing of the past. And face it, If you're an old schooler, you remember waiting around till Thursday or Friday to get National Speed Sport News or Area Auto Racing News or Mark Racing Times or Gator Racing News or Speedway Scene, one of the racing papers, to get your racing news. Now, we all understand. We get results immediately. We watch races pay-per-view that we would normally see, have to wait and get the results for. So times have certainly changed, and most of those papers have gone by the wayside, but not Area Auto Racing News. This paper, Lenny Salmons, his boys, and all of the writers, including Todd Heinzelman, who does the bulk of the sprint car coverage, and Emily Winslow, she's doing some great stuff there as well. Area Auto Racing News, a throwback, yes. Well, you can actually get the digital copy now on Monday or Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. But I just want to salute, and the thing I always marvel about this is how do they find news that I read on Thursday or Friday that didn't break before they broke it? It's because they have a passion, they care about it. So Area Auto Racing News, shout out to Lenny Salmons, my buddy, and all of his family. They do a great job covering sprint car racing. If you're a Northeastern sprint car fan, it is a must subscription because you may listen to Wing Nation and you may watch all of the races pay-per-view and you may go to the Speed Palace every week and Williams Grove and Lincoln and all the tracks, and yet when you pick up your Area Auto Racing News, there's a lot of times you'll find things that you didn't even know happened at the track you were at. That's how good they are. They do a great job. So a throwback. Racing trade papers. I got my start in a racing trade paper, Gator Racing News in Syracuse, New York. Actually, I wrote for Speedway Scene for a short period of time at Gator Racing News in Syracuse, New York, and they're both gone by the wayside, but not Area Auto. So taking a chance to give those fine folks that put that paper together 50 weeks a year a shout out. Wonderful, wonderful job. Tip of the cap, that is for sure. Hey, we have got great stuff happening here on Wing Nation. Our social media, Twitter, Facebook, and we have a YouTube page, so you can check out all of our stuff there. Coming up this week, and we talked a little bit about that, and I cannot wait. I have not seen the finished product. I've seen little snippets and bits and pieces. But coming up this week, going to drop on Thursday, our new program, As You Know, with Erin Evernham. I'll set the table on this again because if you missed us last week, so many times during the course of an interview, a driver or an engineer or a mechanic will say, as you know, Erin, because she's one of the great race car drivers and she has such an engineering mind as well. As you know, Erin. So we have a show, As You Know, with Erin Evernham. Why not? Let's just start it out right at the top of the heap. The Buckeye Bullet. Dave Blaney is Erin's first guest as she sits down and picks Dave Blaney's mind. Dave Blaney, one of the great minds in sprint car racing. He'll do things with a race car, and people say, did you see what Blaney showed up with at Hagerstown or at Port? That'll never work. And then last year, Dave Blaney goes up to Sharon Speedway and whoops the World of Outlaws. Some of that stuff works. Dave Blaney, one of the great minds, and he sits down, as you know, with Erin Evernham this Thursday, our Wing Nation podcast series and production. This weekend on Wing Nation TV, Chris Windham, another one of the great drivers that is trying to make his way from the sprint car world without wings into the sprint car world with wings. And he sits down and chats with Erin and Ashley on our Wing Nation program presented by Sage Fruit. Wednesday night on Rev TV and Saturday night on MAV TV. Hey, we appreciate Mark Smith joining us here on Wing Nation, but more important than all of that, I tell you this every week and we sincerely mean it, thank you for joining us here on Wing Nation.